tradition that complements so magnificently our majestic courthouse originally erected here by our forebears in 1886. As we usher in this new era of liberty and justice in Ione County, it is important to reflect on our rich judicial history in the United States of America, and right here in the 8th Judicial Circuit of Ione County. May we never forget the sacrifices of those who have served and now serve our country to ensure we are a free people. This lovely building, now connected to our beautiful courthouse, will be a visual reminder of the ideals we hold true in the United States of America and here in Ione County. Truth, liberty, equality, and justice. Since this courthouse was originally erected in the 1880s, the people of Ione County have been coming here to this location to do life. They have done so here with the filing of birth certificates and death certificates, and for everything that happens in between, to file deeds with the purchase and transfer of land, to perform marriage ceremonies and the dissolution of them, to protect children and to ensure that they are appropriately supported and cared for and loved in a loving environment. And very importantly, since that time in the 1800s, the people of Ione County have been coming here to address wrongs and to resolve conflict. Jurors have been summoned to this spot to determine if guilt is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And judges have been holding sentences to hold people accountable and applying the rules of law to the cases brought before them. With the ribbon cutting of this edition, we accomplished the goals of ensuring access to justice in a single location, bringing our district and criminal court offices under one roof, along with our juvenile court and probate court offices, or juvenile court offices, I should say, in a safe and secure environment. I want to thank our commissioners, and I'm extremely disappointed that Commissioner Banks, formerly Judge Banks, when I started practicing law, couldn't be here with us today, as I understand that he's not feeling well. But I think it's important to recognize that Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Tijima, and Commissioner Shattuck have served this county for so many years, and have not only this county, but the people of Ione County, and now continue with Commissioners Hodges, Sharp, Howland Kronk, and Wirtz to be very conscientious stewards of taxpayers' dollars, those dollars that are entrusted to them, and they have resisted, despite a lot of pressure throughout the years, to forge ahead and expand when it would not have been fiscally responsible to do so. They have today realized a goal that many thought would never come to fruition. And I was one of those. And I can't tell you how thrilled Judge Schaefer and I are that with this project there will be new carpeting and air conditioning. On behalf of the court system and my fellow jurists, I would like to express appreciation to two people, both of whom make a conscious effort to stay out of the limelight. And you'll see that they're both in the back row here. So both of whom are very deserving of recognition today. Stephanie Fox, our county administrator, and Scott Reicher, our head of buildings, maintenance, and grounds. I am convinced that but for Stephanie's recognition for the need of improved security, we would not have had a single secured entrance in the original courthouse, and without her recognition of the need, for which is very different from wanting more space, and her commitment to this project, we would not have this lovely expanded facility. Now, members of our local bar, many of whom are here today, will actually be able to have private conversations with their clients in lovely attorney-client conference rooms instead of being sandwiched in the back of the courtroom or in the hallway in the midst of numerous other litigants. Thank you, Stephanie. Scott DeReicher is also very deserving of accolades today. Throughout this entire project, he has had so much more on his plate, and yet I have never seen him be rude or short-tempered with anyone. He is always pleasant and cheerful with a smile on his face, ready and willing to help, despite all that he was already overseeing. Thank you, Scott. As we move forward from this day, I am somewhat in awe of all that will happen here in years to come. There will be hurt and brokenness that will come here, but there will also be opportunities for peace and reconciliation that comes with the resolution of conflict. And when it is all said and done, it is my hope and prayer that people will leave this building with the confident assurance that justice is served. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Krieger. And next we'll hear from Judge Raymond Vaught of the 64th District Court.
Imagine test driving a car and have a couple hundred people watching. That's what this feels like. I didn't actually prepare any written remarks because when you're further down the agenda of speakers, it can be kind of difficult. All of a sudden you could be looking at your own speech and realizing that the person in front of you is giving the speech that you intended to give. So that's not a good situation to be in. But I definitely knew in my mind there were certain points that I wanted to talk about. And I think that to echo something that I said the other day at the prayer service about a downtown, about a community, reminds me of a theme that President Ronald Reagan touched on often during his run-up to becoming president in Williamsburg. And that theme or concept was the city on the hill. And he would often talk about the city on the hill. Now to Reagan, there's a phrase he borrowed from the Bible, but that city on a hill represented what was great about America, the best qualities that America had. And of course, our great qualities are freedom, and liberty, and justice for all, which we just said in the Pledge of Allegiance. And our institutions and the buildings that come with those institutions need to embody those ideas. So that's why when you go to Washington, you're stunned by the beautiful architecture. That's why if you go to a state capitol, go to Lansing, and look around at the architecture, you see that beautiful architecture because generation after generation after generation in history understands the importance of having those symbols there in front of us that we can see. These buildings and these places where every man is equal. So when someone comes through that door, that person might have $1 million in their bank account. They'll stand in front of me, and they'll be just as much an owner of this building as someone who comes through that door who's 10 years. Because we're all equal under the justice system in this country. So our buildings need to reflect that. So that having been said, this was a huge challenge. 30 years ago, I never thought I would see a new courthouse in Iowa County when I started here. Along the way, there was talk of improving the facilities, maybe expanding the facilities. I heard talk at one time of buying land outside of town on M66. That's a growing area. Let's build a big, sprawling courthouse complex. And I was never in favor of that because I felt a building like this needs to be in the center of our community. Right here on the same block with City Hall, right here on the same block with the church, right here on the same block with the library. And so the commissioners had quite a challenge in front of them when they had all this history behind them and they had to make a decision moving forward. And yes, there were financial concerns. A number of times during this process, the architects, God bless you guys, came to us and said, here's what we got for you. This is what it's going to cost. And Stephanie and Scott and the judges said, no, too much. Go back to the drawing board. But my fear along that process is doing it on the cheap. And you get something that looks like a piece of junk and doesn't stay consistent to that true ideal of the city on the hill and of institutions being bigger than any one man or woman and being something that's bigger than any one particular generation. Something that's still important 100 years from now. And commissioners, Stephanie, Scott, architects, you guys accomplished that goal. When I stand across the street on Main Street and I look at the library, and I look at the new addition, and I look at the courthouse, it's beautiful. Well done. This is a building that's going to belong to the public for years to come. Long after we're all gone in this room, it'll just be a memory to the future generations. So you guys did a great job. And of course, all the thank yous are being handed out. Commissioners also. But let's remember the construction worker too, because that construction worker is just as important and equal in the eyes of justice as any millionaire or judge or lawyer or anybody else who holds status in society. So paper, make sure you wrote, write down that Judge Roll gave a shout out to the construction. So that having been said, excellent job. I look forward to this building serving our community for years to come and generations beyond that. Thank you.
Our final speaker will be a former commissioner and now state representative for the 87th District, Julie Kelly.
Oh, there's a robe back there and everything.
Well, I was talking to judges wearing their robes.
So I had the privilege of serving on the Iona County Commission for 8 years. Long before I started, there was talk about a facility improvement plan. There was time, effort, planning, and yet nothing got accomplished until I left. I'm starting to figure out why you guys kicked me out of state government. Kudos, I'm finally getting something done. Board after board had discussed this and was left in a quandary as to what the right direction is. So much like Judge Vogt asserted, I have to amend my remarks a little bit because very wise remarks were made ahead of me. But I do want you to know that in 1883, when the millage finally passed for our second courthouse, the one that is now standing, it took several attempts. I'm told those of us on the east side were the problem. Sorry. To my credit, my family wasn't on the east side at the time. Many of you know my family history. So my grandfather's picture, Stanley Powell, hangs in the courthouse now. If you go deeper into my roots, you find out that there's a Waterbury who was a big fan of this project as well. Also a relative of mine. So the Powells and the Waterburys have been long-standing citizens in support of the But anyway, in 1883, when this millage finally passed, when you look at the city wards, 997 votes for, 1 in opposition. It was the biggest landslide of county history, of ward history anyway, and I'm sure that one will not be beat. It did, however, end up $20,000 over budget, which was a considerable and a point, shall we say, nicely. I will commend you, though. There is one line item missing for certain from this building that was in existence in 1886. So when you think about all of the construction codes that now exist, the fact that electrical, HVAC, all of those things have been introduced since then. However, this time you did not have to budget for 126 spittoons. And if you think the ceremony is long, listen to this. The courthouse was completed in 1886, and newspaper reports tell of the overly long and somewhat pompous dedication to the new courthouse. It took place on a stifling hot day in July. It was marked with no less than 9 speeches, interspersed with singing, prayers, and poetry before a banquet and fireworks. So the question for all of us should be, where are the fireworks? Truly, though, this building is an apt image of our county. We have a respect for the past. We have seen a number of old courthouses come down. And yet, and I was a doubter, you found a way to add on space and make it look like it belongs. We have a respect for the past. We have an eye on the future. Although, I don't know who I need to talk to here, but there is no Wi-Fi and there is no signal in the So we're not done. Thank you. I usually bring with me a tribute or something framed. I didn't feel that was appropriate today. And as usual, Judge Krieger, local government is ahead of state government. We're more nimble, we move quicker. Look what I brought with me. Oh. It felt a little silly to hold it up while you were. That's really. But I have a flag that flew over the Capitol. We exist in Lansing to serve the people just as you do here. And this building is about the people and their rights. And so this flag embodies all that is right and due to our citizens and all that will happen in this building to serve them. Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
That concludes our speakers for today. We don't have a banquet, but we do have refreshments out in the hallway. And there will be, I guess